Okay, hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Dragon Trail monthly webinar. This month's webinar is especially exciting because it's the first time that we're going to be discussing the topic of artificial intelligence for Chinese outbound travel. This is an extremely hot, extremely new topic, and as you'll see, most of the developments that we'll talk about today are extremely new and still ongoing. It's also a topic that I think will become increasingly essential to understand and embrace in order to stay competitive in this and most other industries. So let's dive in. My name is Sienna Perulis Cook, and I'm Dragon Trail's Director of Marketing and Communications. Joining me today are our three guest speakers who are all already knowledgeable and experienced in AI for tourism, and especially in terms of the Chinese market. First, we have Li Hanming, a data scientist who works with TravelDaily China, including on their recent report on AI for Chinese travel industry. Next is Linghui To from the Singapore Tourism Board's Beijing office. Singapore Tourism Board is really a market leader in terms of AI adoption, and they've been working with Mafangwo, Xiaomi, and other digital platforms to use AI tools to promote and enhance Chinese travel to Singapore. And finally, Dragon Trail's own CEO and co-founder, George Cao, is joining us today to talk about what he's seen in the market and also how Dragon Trail is embracing AI too. Our webinar today will be divided into two main sections. First, we're going to start with a quick overview from me about what's happening now in China's travel market and on Chinese social media in terms of AI. A snapshot of the current developments alongside some ideas about how AI can be used within the tourism industry. So that should take around 15 minutes, and then we will turn over to the main part of the webinar, which will be a discussion together with our expert panelists. Each of them will present a little bit about what they've done most recently with AI, and then we'll have a conversation all together about the current developments and future opportunities for AI for consumers, tourism, service providers, and marketers. I'm sure there will be questions from the audience today, so do feel free to send those in at any time by using the Q&A button on your Zoom control panel, and we will answer as many as we can towards the end of the session. We will be recording today's webinar session, and later today, we'll send attendees a link to that recording as well as all of the webinar slides shared today. So you will have all of the presentation materials to review on your own, as well as to share with any colleagues who you think might be interested but aren't able to attend the live session. So in case you're attending a Dragon Trail webinar for the first time today, I wanted to briefly introduce who we are. Dragon Trail International is a marketing solutions company headquartered in Beijing. And since our founding in 2009, we've focused on marketing for Chinese outbound tourism, working with destinations, airlines, hotels, retailers, attractions, and other travel brands and businesses around the world to help them connect to Chinese consumers and the Chinese travel trade. Our services include B2B and B2C digital marketing and content creation, offline, virtual, and hybrid events, research and strategy consulting, and market representation services. You can find lots more information about our services, case studies of our work, and lots of free resources on them and marketing trends on our website, www.dragontrail.com. So let's start with an entry-level overview of AI for tourism in China. There has been a huge surge in the development of AI products and services in China's online travel market in the past months. Everyone is looking to enter this space right now, and the launch of DeepSeek's chatbot in January this year has given a big push to the use of AI tools in China and by Chinese travel platforms. So starting at the top here, the Trip.com group, which owns Ctrip and Qunar, they were an early adopter. They launched their Trip Genie AI trip planning assistant back in 2023. Trip Genie works with both text and voice inputs to suggest personalized itineraries and to find travel products. Recent developments include location-aware insights, as well as a menu assistant tool that we'll look at a little bit more later. Flicky's new AI assistant is called Ask Me or Wenny Wen, and it was launched this April. People are really talking about this one on Rednote, the social media platform in China. It uses Alibaba's own LLM and Fliggy's pricing engine and data, and it responds to both written and voice prompts, including Chinese slang and regional dialects. While most of the AI assistants on the screen here, introduced by the OTAs, they're just basic chatbots. This is the most comprehensive tool so far, with extra features that include budget controls and illustrated maps. Tongcheng's AI China itinerary planner was launched last September and offers services in 9 languages with the inbound tourism market to China in mind as a target audience. This was the first OTA to integrate their AI assistant with DeepSeek in late February. Not to be left behind, OTA Tunio launched their AI travel assistant called Xiaonio in April, and this one uses both Alibaba's QN as well as DeepSeek. Finally, travel website Mafangwo is rolling out localized AI travel assistants, including their Guizhou and Singapore AI tools. And they also integrated with DeepSeek in February. So now I'd like to look at how AI can be used for travel so far. And I think there are really 3 main areas: trip planning, in destination, and marketing. And we'll start with trip planning. This is definitely the most developed and widely used of the 3 areas so far. And it's the way that China's online travel platforms are currently using AI, as we saw on the slide before. You can see an example here on the screen of an itinerary generated by Fliggy's AI tool with that illustrated itinerary. Consumers are already using these tools to help them plan and book their trips based on their individual needs. And some of the things that they really like about these tools, it's not just the level of personalization and detail in the itineraries. It's also the fact that these tools can help them save time and money. And that they can, at least with Fliggy's tool, generate these visually pleasing illustrated itineraries, which they can then share on social media or send to friends. Beyond just a list of places to visit, the planning tools can help to give advice about weather and pricing, packing, up-to-date currency information, and other helpful tips. So that's on the consumer side, but these itinerary building tools can also help Chinese travel agents and be used for B2B to C sales and marketing. And I'm going to let George talk about this in more detail and also give you a demo of this tool. But the example I'd like to share here and introduce for the first time is Dragon Trail's Trip Builder Pro platform. This connects AI chatbots with tourism boards' own POI databases to generate fully customizable itineraries with information straight from the tourism board that's all verified and up to date, along with high quality, free to use photos. We demoed this to the travel trade during ITB last month at an event with Delta Airlines and LA Tourism, connecting the trip builder with the resources available through LA Tourism's Travel Trade Hub. Moving on from trip planning, the next area where AI is already being used and has major potential is in destination. I have to say, when it comes to tourism attractions in China, the line seems to be blurred a lot between AI on one hand and AR and VR on the other hand. And for today's webinar, I've tried to focus purely on AI tools. So AI can be used as a kind of virtual tour guide and to provide information about local services. And there are attractions in China, such as Huangshan Mountain, for example, that have linked up to DeepSeek to provide these services to visitors, where they can find up-to-date information about ticketing and suggested walking routes, alongside practical information, such as the location of the nearest toilets. Some of the images here also offer you quite different examples of how AI can be used as a guide service. So Jimoa Ancient City in Qingdao, they have these vehicles that visitors can drive around in, which then uses geolocation and AI to provide information on various areas around the attraction. The Shanghai Museum launched this kind of AI virtual guide for mobile last summer for the Ancient Egypt exhibition, and the guide was able to answer questions, both written and spoken questions in many languages as you walked around the exhibit. So it's definitely more than just a traditional audio guide. Travelers have been using translation and interpretation tools for quite some time now, and these are only going to get better. The Trip.com group's latest addition to their AI tools is this menu planner that you can see here. And it not only translates menus, but it also gives you helpful information about what the dishes are and how they're made. And then finally, a big part of the Chinese traveler's digital journey is sharing the trip. Dragon Trail's most recent consumer sentiment survey revealed that 94% of outbound travelers share their travel experience on social media, and most of these will share at least once a day. So now Chinese consumers are using AI to enhance their travel photos and also create vlogs and videos, which can then lead to even more sharing and more interaction with that shared content online. You can see an example here in the second image from the left of AI tools being used to enhance travel photos and create beautiful AI illustrations to share online. So based on my own exploration of the social media platform Rednote or Xiaohongshu, searching for examples of AI in travel, I want to talk about what Chinese consumers are currently saying and sharing online about this topic. There are many how-to guides and examples to show the use of AI trip planning tools and other ways that AI can enhance the travel experience. There are a lot of Rednote posts that address the question of if AI is reliable or not, and also comparing some of the different platforms, with videos showing travelers using AI as a travel guide and a trip planner, generally with positive results. Users are also using fun AI tools to create images and videos that celebrate and inspire travel, such as the suitcases that you can see the example of here that kind of showcase the charms of different cities in China. And this post was shared just before the May Labor Day holiday this year. Also trending this summer is an AI video that allows you to transform city landmarks into watermelon. And you can see an example of that here on the right. Now, I wanted to turn more specifically to AI for tourism marketing with examples of how it can be used by destinations. The examples here are a couple of really nice ones that I've seen this year on Instagram. So they were definitely not created with the Chinese market in mind, but I still think they show how tourism destinations can successfully use AI to attract positive attention on social media. So the first example is a video that's released by the Chilean Tourism Board, and they use the music and the style of the opening credits for the TV show The White Lotus. We see from online searches and looking for Sicily, as well as more recently Koh Samui, we know that the White Lotus really does have an impact on global tourism, showcasing different luxury travel destinations around the world. The Chilean Tourism Board's video features different travel destinations and wildlife found in Chile with the names of those places and animals displayed where the actors' names would go in the opening sequence of the show. The second example that I want to share here is a post by a tourism board in a very small village in northwest Spain that has fewer than 5,000 people. It's near to, but not on, the Camino de Santiago walk, and it's generally only visited by tourists for its natural hot spring spa. So this is not a place with a big tourism marketing budget or a sophisticated tourism marketing strategy. But they effectively use the Studio Ghibli filter in ChatGPT to generate a really beautiful set of images showing the village and its attractions. And this was accompanied by text describing the village as a magical place, like something found in a Studio Ghibli film. This post got around triple the usual number of likes for the village's Instagram account. And I think it's a fantastic example of using AI to surpass budget constraints and create standout marketing. China, of course, has its own AI tools and filters. And I showed you earlier the example of the video tool to change city landmarks into watermelon. I've also seen a lot of AI generated tools that show cities with big lychees in them this summer. So fruit is definitely a theme that's trending now. Another trend in China is related to Jellycat, the globally popular plush toy brand. And this is a brand that's done incredible localization and marketing in China, with pop-ups like a vegetable market in Chengdu, where all of the vegetables were actually plush toys. They also did a pop-up in Shanghai, which was a traditional Shanghai-style apothecary, again, with everything as a plush toy. This kind of localization has been taken one step further online using AI tools by social media users. And you can see a couple of example of posts here where they used the AI filter to turn various regional Chinese cuisines into Jellycat style toys. And of course, that's all just an AI image, not a real toy. Then this February, a video app came out, or a video filter that allowed you to turn city or any kind of landmark into a video where those landmarks were Jellycat style toys. And so this is something that started to be used by local tourism boards in China, as well as universities. At Dragon Trail, we picked up on this trend and we used that same AI tool to create a video for Los Angeles tourism, featuring landmarks like the Santa Monica Pier and Hollywood Film Studios. Now, before we turn to our experts and start our panel discussion, I wanted to first be very honest about some of the limitations and challenges for using AI in tourism, because it still is very early, and I know that not everyone is convinced yet. Until recently, I've also been pretty skeptical, so I wanted us to address these challenges during our discussion. Last August, Dragon Trail surveyed more than 1,000 Chinese travelers about their attitudes towards AI as a travel tool, and they were pretty reserved. At that point, just 5% said that AI tools for travel had already helped them, and 90% thought that AI either wasn't useful or they weren't sure what to think. Translation was seen as the area with the highest potential for AI tools, and around 2/3 hoped that it could help with itinerary planning. Now, there are definitely quite a few reasons to suggest that these attitudes have shifted considerably over the past 10 months and maybe a lot more positive now. Generally speaking, Chinese people are optimistic about AI, and they do seem to be adopting AI tools for travel faster than in other markets. Last week, George was invited to speak about AI in China at an online session by Group Now's AI Opener for Destinations initiative. During the session, the speaker from Group Now shared this data, which comes from Stanford University's most recent report on the global development of AI. People from all over the world were asked about how nervous and how excited they were to use AI tools. And we can see that China really stands out here as being the most excited and one of the least nervous countries. Skift research also shows that Chinese travelers lead globally in using AI for trip planning, ahead of the US and Europe. The global adoption rate, for reference, was at 37% in Q3 2024, according to Skift research. As we've seen, most of the Chinese AI tools for travel just came out or got upgraded in the last couple of months, and people are really talking about these tools and starting to use them and discuss them online. So we look forward to updating you with new consumer sentiment data from Dragon Trail Research this September, as well as information on how the Chinese travel trade is using AI at the end of next month. So that is the end of my introduction section. I'm now very happy to turn over to the expert speakers to talk about what they have been doing and seeing. So we're going to start off with Li Hanming, who's going to tell us a little bit about his new report for TravelDaily China.
Okay, can you hear me, Sienna?
Yes.
Okay, so would you please just do me the favor and have my text report ready? Yeah, go ahead. That will be nice of you.
Got it here.
So nice of you. So generally, let me introduce myself first. So Travel Daily, or for English speaker, is ChinaTravelNews.com. It is one of the largest travel industry media in China. and we do discuss quite a lot of topic around how Chinese people going around. So in the just passing April, we have a report over how Chinese people are utilizing artificial intelligence during their domestic and international travel. So this one are with some of China's largest travel agencies, and we do some surveys for it. So you can see that in our table of contents, we introduce that how they are used by business travelers, how they are using by the leisure travelers, and so on. So Sienna, do me a favor and turn on page so I can introduce the following chapter. Okay. So on the very first one, it will be how the people are utilizing their AIs. So, for example, now they are used in multiple aspects, just like what you just introduced. For example, like translation, which will be the key demand for almost every Chinese leisure travelers when they are traveling abroad. Another thing is about the trip planning. You can see that as you just introduced, that they are heavily utilizing this kind of planning tools in order to get the well planned and personally recommended. For example, nowadays, this kind of AI agents are researching what the tourists are, what kind of characteristic they are, and what kind of location they prefers to visit first. So for example, if you are a person with well educated in art, then probably you would like to visit museum before going out. But if you are the person who likes to visit the nature environment, then they will recommend it in the opposite way. So that will be the second aspect here, and there's so many things to do. So let's put it on the next page. Thank you so much. Yeah. Maybe another one. Maybe let me navigate by the page number. Yeah. So there we are. So currently, there are two kind of aspects when they are considered travel: the business one or the leisure one. The leisure one we just introduced that is that there are much more acceptance, especially in the first tier city, Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, or the new first tier city. But for the business travel one, the companies and the business traveler are less sensitive or accepting the artificial intelligence in their trip. That's because quite different reasons. For example, like those travel management companies has not offered them with the AI agents as powerful as those online travel agencies offering to leisure travelers and so on. So now you can see that that's a key difference on the leisure one and on the business one. Another thing will be about the travel consultant, which is you can see that at a use case, at the user's perspective. So you do have some conversational AI ones so that you can discuss it with like in the approach, you discuss your expectation with employees or clerks at a travel agency. And another thing will be about the integration of booking APIs or the trip itinerary APIs so that you can talk with customer service representative, or you can talk to AI representative, like the approach you are talking with a human representative when changing your flights or hotel booking. So there are so many things, for example, for the travelers. And for the internal management, you do see that this kind of travel agencies or hotels are going to adjust the price, making prediction about the demands, and eventually led to the real time adjusting of the price from time to time. That will be some of the things you do see that how it goes. And for the cine spots, there are two major approaches. One of them is just what we see at the slide by Dragon Trail. You do see that they are going to cartoonize, they are going to make a cartoon characters of all the cine sports or the souvenirs they have in order to build a better impression on this new generations, what they call Gen Zs, with better impression on their cine sports. While the other one will be the virtual guides that put augmented realities into the cine sports in order to better familiarize visitors with background informations on, for example, like the museum or the natural scenics, so that they have better understanding. And you do see that just like what we're talking about, the dynamic prediction on the sales side, as well as the service process, or the what they call the BPA, business process automation, just like the customer service representative. And you do see quite a lot, for example, like the customer service or so on. So generally, in the survey we go during the February and the March, we do consider quite a lot of people on different ages, for example, from 18 to 50s or at the retirement age. And most people we are researching on are on the tier 1 cities and the tier 2. And okay, maybe that'll be on the next page, please, Sienna. I appreciate it. So you do see that at least about 70% of people are actually have used or they're occasionally using AI tools during the trip. By using, I mean that they understand and they have idea that they are using. But if you are background using, for example, like the agency put it on the background to generate the recommended content for you, that's not counted. And actually, when coming to the AI, something most interesting is that those people in their 41 to 50s, about the mid-age or Gen X people, are actually frequently using that. The reason we guess is probably they are more familiar with the conversational way, so that they would like to say, okay, I got the idea. I need some conversation with either human or AIs in order to better fill up the conversation or ideas with contents. But for those native to internet generation, for example, like Gen Zs, they prefer to do the search themselves. Yeah. So that would be the most interesting. That would be the most interesting thing. And for those people on the cities, for example, in which kind of cities they are living in, definitely the more developed cities have more population that prefers to use artificial intelligence during their daily life. One of the reasons is that these cities are more developed, so they are richer, they're more rich, they are affordable to longer trips that demand are careful planning using artificial intelligence. Okay, so now you can see that on the tools that they are using, the most important thing is what I just talked about, the translation or interpretations. While the second one is the travel consultant that help you do the planning, help you search for the routes, search for the transportation, and recommend you for suitable hotels nearby. While the third one are used for the price predictions. And when talking about their expected expectations, the most expected one are actually augmented realities. So the core is that, for example, like when they are doing the interpretation, they definitely want the subtitles available for them. So they want to say that, okay, let's have the subtitles of the conversation projected on their glasses in order to better understand what talk about the foreigners. And well, the other thing will be the smart guy robbers in order to help them familiarize with the hotel and cine sports. And that's what they're looking for. Another interesting thing about artificial intelligence is about visa. Despite China has so many, currently they have been waived by so many countries. When traveling to developed country like European, Australia, or United States, they still need to get a visa. And I would like to say that the most difficult section are actually how to prepare the paperwork required by the embassies or consulates. So they are actually AI assistants helping you to produce acceptable paperwork. For example, help you summarize, extract core information from your bank statements, and then so that you got everything summarized into a better understandable format by those consulate officers. Okay, so now you do see that they do have so many different expectations, and they actually are willing to pay for this kind of functionalities. So at our AI travel service payment intent, you do see that about 60% of people that is actively willing to pay, and there's about over 80% of people that will consider paying for them if it works. Okay, so that would be the third page. So maybe the next one. Yeah. So we can see that there are so many different expectations, but they're actually good. They're willing to pay for it. Okay. So now, when considering about the income-based one, you do see that they are considering different aspects. So for those middle class, they are actually willing to pay for it, while those with not so much income or those with too much incomes are actually considering more about the service quality or cost to quality ratio. Yeah. So nowadays we do quite a lot of analysis regarding this leisure travelers, and now it will be more about the business travelers. So for business traveler, we currently don't have something like the Cinesport because they are visiting for business target. So, okay, so would you please next page, please, Sienna? Thank you so much. Okay, so now in the business travel, that's totally a different story. For example, 69% of business traveler in China has never experienced AI travel tools, and all the things are quite limited, like simple booking or what they call it, the expense control, like budget. Okay, so the thing is still applies that people in more developed city like the tier 1 or new tier 1 are more willing or have used artificial intelligence during their travel. Well, another thing will be that they are more considerate it to be like using for the reimbursement. The thing about reimbursement in China is that you have to submit your invoice and you have to submit the corresponding itinerary or bill for it. So they are kind of AI tools extracting words and the sentence from these invoices, from the pictures or PDFs, in order to get the what they call the reimbursement application field by necessary information. For example, how much you spend, where do you spend for it, and this is actually the most tools, the most used AI tools by these business travelers. Okay, another thing will be about how they manage their itinerary. For example, recommending hotels near the location they travel to, but they still have some kind of concerns over it. For example, how to keep their information safe, how to keep it secret, secure. There are so many points to consider. So now, after discussing over the business travelers, the third part is more about the industry participants. So we do interview some professionals like hotels, airlines, and so on. And actually, slightly over half of them has utilized artificial intelligence during their work. Oh, do me the favor again, Sienna. Thank you. Nice of you. Okay, so you do see that the most adapted companies are those OTAs or internet travel platforms. And another one will be the second or third one will be like airlines and Cinesports. But now the hotel lacks. So only 25% of these hotel participants are using artificial intelligence during their daily operation, mostly because they are quite smaller companies rather than those larger ones in the airlines or Cinesports industry. And the most service they are using the same as the leisure travelers, are intelligent customer service. So what they call the customer service robots. While the second one will be just recommendations, while the third one will be how to have the advertising marketing contents available. That's most used by these industry participants. Yeah, so you can see that all of them are heavily using them for better promotions, especially during the current time on the what they call the short video like TikTok or Bilibili or Red Notes. Okay, so now they do have demands, but most of them are actually neutral. So by the means of neutral, it means that they are saying that, okay, it's good to have it, but it is not a necessary one. So they recognize it. They realize some business values. For example, it saves time for them on the promotion or on the marketing, but they are still considering these AI tools as a kind of add-ons, but not a must-haves. And for example, for those smaller or medium-sized enterprises, they are more feeling it as it's an add-on. But for those largest one, for example, like the OTAs, it gradually become our must-have due to the huge saving in marketing or customer serving costs. That will be the key factor affecting how people are utilizing AI in the tourism industry. Okay, so now maybe the next page, we should have something like okay, now we got the implementation or the, okay. Another thing people are worrying about is that they are wondering whether or not to use third-party SaaS service or what they call the public AI, or deploying a private one on their own and only accessible by themselves. So that is actually quite a trade-off between your functionalities, your cost, as well as your data security. So actually you can see that there are so many people still feeling we are unclear about it. Yeah. Okay. So now regarding how they are using the large language generated AI models, definitely DeepSeek is the most used one. It's the most used one for the popularity and the renown on newspapers and TV. And on the second tier, you do see somebody are using by the ByteDance, by the Alibaba and the Tencent, generally because of the better integration of the ecosystem. For example, if you have your most functionality on WeChat, then probably you will use Tencent Hunyuan for the better integration. And if you are using for like the Alibaba's Fliggy, then the Tongyi Qianwen will be the better choice. Generally, the foreign models is not much use, possibly due to the concern over data security. And so you do see that it's not a major deployment. Well, on the investments, about 25% of these enterprise participants are more considered like something good to have. So they have invested less than 10% of their total IT budget. And you do see that only about 2% of these participants invest about 1/3 of their budget on it. Okay, that will be this page. I think I should generally spend more than 15 minutes on it. So I'm wondering if that's okay for you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you've shared just a huge amount of data here, and
I
I
share
realize
quite a lot
there's
here.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's quite a lot here. So Yeah, there's there's quite a lot more to share with everyone. So, just to recap, this is all coming from Travel Daily China's report that they put out recently on use of
March,
AI
this March.
in, oh,
Yeah.
okay, sorry, March of AI in China's travel market. And that report is available for free, but it's only in Chinese. But this is a summary, an AI generated summary in English of everything that's in that report. And we will be able to share that with all of you participants later today. So you'll have all of this to go through in more detail. So thanks a lot. And it's good that we'll have time at the end for questions and for everyone to be sharing too. Moving on to the DMO use, I would like to invite Ling Huito from the Singapore Tourism Board to talk to us briefly about what they have been doing with AI in China.
Thank you, Sienna. Good afternoon, everyone. And many thanks to Dragon Trail for inviting Singapore Tourism Board here to share some of our experiences and our dabble in terms of using AI tools to promote a destination. So we started this task force internally within STB probably about 3 to 4 years ago. And the mandate was always to stay ahead of the curve, given now how technology has become a very integral part of our everyday living. So we've been trying to look at what are the technology that we should be looking into in order to try new ways of promoting the destination. So for us, definitely AI has the growth of AI has gone exponentially in the last 1 or 2 years. And we are very grateful that we've been able to ride this wave with some of our strategic partners. So in the space that we are, which is travel and tourism, naturally, when we talk about the use of AI, we look at one of our key partner, that is Ma Feng Wo, who is used to be the equivalent of TripAdvisor in mainland, and then now an OTA. So what we've done with them is to use AI and introduce a travel concierge, the idea of a travel concierge and a travel planner. So Singapore became visa-free last year on 9th of February 2024. And with that, we also noticed a lot of travelers now have become free and independent traveler. And they are very used to going online, social media platform or OTA to look for information and to plan their destination. So what we've worked with Ma Feng Wo is to have this AI travel planner do the work on behalf of the tourist. So instead of scrolling through pages and pages of red note, now you can speak to their AI planner, who is called Xiaoma, and you can tell them what are your travel preferences, what is your travel group size, how many days you have in Singapore, and they will be able to crawl through their repository of itineraries that have been reviewed by their own influencers, and then put together a customized itinerary for you and your travel companions. And if you don't know where to start, actually, if you found some itinerary that's online or on social media, you can also copy that link onto Ma Feng Wo's app, and for Xiaoma to then customize certain portion of the itinerary for you. So what we've done with them is to make sure that it is hyper customized and a very personalized way of creating itineraries for end consumer. And so that was our partnership with an OTA. And we thought maybe for OTA, when you go onto an OTA website, you naturally already have a destination in mind. So what we are doing is closing that conversion loop. Can we go a bit upstream to the funnel, and can we increase awareness or consideration? And that was when we were looking around for a lifestyle partner that we can work with. And we realized that mobile is a gadget that is on our hand, right? Almost every hour of our waking time. So very fortunately, we found Xiaomi, who was also looking at developing their voice assistant, who is called Xiao Ai Tongxue. So what we've done with them is to integrate travel information into their large language model, so that in the everyday conversation that Xiao Ai has with the Xiaomi user, Xiao Ai can then softly seed travel consideration to Singapore. So it doesn't have to come across as very hard, such as I'm going for a holiday next week. Can you plan an itinerary for me? But it could be 3 months, 6 months down the road. I could be having a normal conversation with Xiao Ai, and I could just be saying, Xiao Ai, I'm feeling bored today, and Xiao Ai would just share with me, oh, I know of this latest attraction in Singapore. Maybe at your next holiday break, you may like to consider that. So it's really very much going up the funnel of marketing and then raising that awareness of Singapore as a destination. And that was what we did with Xiaomi for probably the first 2 iterations of our partnership. And last year, we evolved our partnership further to kind of close the conversion loop. So even with Xiao Ai giving you travel recommendation, if you wish to look at price comparison, if you wish to close the loop by making a booking, Xiao Ai is also able to pull out certain apps on your phone, be it trip.com, be it Mafengwo, be it Fliggy, and then help you do that price comparison and end the purchase loop. So this really is our endeavor at making the discovery of a destination easier and more seamless for the Chinese consumer. And moving forward, I think we also hope to build on some of these pilots that we've had, either with OTA or with lifestyle partner, with mobile partner. I think more essentially is to integrate some of the data we have about our consumer with the data they have, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the recommendation we give to every single Chinese visitor is customized to their preferences, to their travel habits. So that is what probably the next step that we will be looking at.
Oh, thank you. That's very interesting. So I guess the end step is also to help people have an even better travel experience in Singapore, and then they'll go back and give that good feedback when they're sharing online too, and then that's helpful user-generated kind of marketing for you too. So finally, we've got George, the CEO and co-founder of Dragon Trail. George, do you want to do a quick demo of our Trip Builder Pro platform?
I will do a quick demo after I share some of my thoughts.
Okay.
So we've been observing the market very closely when it comes to the application of artificial intelligence. We want to look for things that our clients have to pay attention in the next a couple of years. So far, we're not seeing killer apps yet. There are many applications. You see chatbots. You see the itinerary builders offered by the OTAs, and you see, applications of social media, video generation, and so on and so forth. But we haven't really seen a killer app for travel yet. I think we're still looking for that. But there are a few things to keep an eye out. The first thing is search. I think artificial intelligence has disrupted search quite significantly. If you look at the AI summaries or AI overviews offered by Google, Baidu, and Microsoft Bing, they're basically taking a lot of the web content and summarize it and provide that as a final result to the users. So the users don't have to click on those links from NTOs, DMOs, and other travel suppliers anymore. So do expect traffic to websites to reduce further as search engines do more and more summaries, and eventually they might replace the whole search interface with an AI, a kind of conversation experience. When that happens, how do we manage our content? How do we get our content in front of the consumers will be a key issue to address. And that is why we start to get called GEO, generative engine optimization. People start to think about how do I craft my content so they're easier to be picked up by the large language models. They're also more trusted, so they're ranked higher in the AI summaries to the users. And so my content gets displayed more frequent to the end users, as in the old days when we do SEO, search engine optimization, where we want our content to show up higher on the list of the search results. So that is one thing I would encourage everybody to start to think about that. Look at how, what are some of the techniques that can be used. There are a set of basic things you can do, and then there are more advanced things you can do, the same as the SEO. So that's one thing we think that everybody should pay some attention to. The second area that we think as tourism businesses, we need to start to think about is MCP. This is a standard that is crafted by Anthropic, the US-based artificial intelligence company. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It's basically a way to create a shared context for AI applications to talk to each other. For example, if we are a hotel company, obviously we have availability rates and inventory for our hotels. If we're an airline, we have inventory and availability for our seats, right? Those are all good candidates to create MCP servers so that AI engines can discover your service, and then someone's actually building the end user experience can integrate your services into a final experience to the consumers. So MCP will also be interesting. I think if you move from just conversation engines, chatbots to the next level, I would say look at MCP. They're applicable today. There are simple applications you can do today, and obviously there will be more and more advanced applications of MCP. And the last technology that I think people should pay attention to is agentic workflow. This is something that we use internally ourselves to build, AI applications, which is the one that Sienna mentioned that I'll be doing a demo. So if you think about the interactions with AI engines today, is mostly a one-shot kind of engagement. It's a conversation. You ask AI something, it gives you a response, and that's it. But if you want to build something that's more complicated than a simple conversation, you want to actually plan a whole itinerary, you'll have to take, a workflow. You have to do multiple steps to do that. You need to analyze what the user wants. You need to check some kind of content in some repository without hallucination. You also have to check availabilities on hotels and airlines. So it takes multiple steps to actually create an itinerary that is bookable. And the way to do that is by using this technology called agentic workflow. There are a few well-known companies in that space. One of them, the couple of Chinese companies that you might have heard of is Manus, which they made a pretty big buzz a few months ago about offering a workflow, a platform for business users. And then we use a platform called Defy, which is more friendly towards developers. So if you have in-house development team, you can try Defy to see if you can build something useful. I think the killer apps will eventually emerge from the application of these technologies. Someone will come out one day and build a whole kind of ecosystem of MCP servers, MCP clients to serve and actually deliver very interesting user experiences. And for agentic workflow, today you can build interesting applications. The one I want to show you is a B2B trip builder. So this is not a consumer-facing application. This is to be used by travel agencies to address the issue of having a lot of inquiries that you have to spend a lot of time in order to service those customer inquiries, but at the same time, they are not getting a very high conversion rate. So how do you reduce the cost of servicing very personalized and customized guest inquiries in a very efficient way, lower cost? And how do you produce a better quality recommendation to them so that you increase your conversion rate? So this is something we have attempted to do as a internal R&D project, which I'll give you a quick demo. Okay. Sienna, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So as I mentioned, this is a trip builder, but it is used by travel agencies to service their guest inquiries. Let's say someone asks for a trip to LA for 3 days with a family of 4, all have been to LA before. Can you recommend a itinerary for this this trip? So in the workflow, the first thing we do is submit that very personalized guest inquiry to a large language model to get an initial response. This will be something you can get directly out of a ChatGPT or out of a DeepSeek or any other large language models. It's very standard. Consumers would be able to get this anyways. But as an agent or travel advisor, you can look at the thinking process, which we're showing of the large language model to see how it is actually thinking about this particular request and see if you can learn something from that thinking process. Once the AI finishes its thinking, it will start to recommend, making recommendations for activities each day, right? For every single day, we'll give you a very detailed itinerary. But even to this point, this is something you can get straight out of DeepSeek. You can get straight out of ChatGPT and all the other large language models. Our innovation is in once we get the response from AI, we then, in our workflow, in our next step of our workflow, we would feed that response to a second AI engine to say, okay, this is the initial recommendation. Can you process this into a structured a data structure so we can feed it into a database and make a beautifully looking itinerary? So this is the step. So it's doing data analysis in the workflow. This is the second step, right? The third step, once the second AI engine finishes its work, is going to feed into a third AI engine to do the database work. It's going to say, I'm going to put all this content, which is already structured, into a database, and then out comes a very nicely looking itinerary. So this will take a few minutes. Now we have it. So all the POIs are listed with a picture, with their address, with their official website URLs, phone numbers, and so on and so forth on this itinerary. Everything is also laid out on the map. So remember, this is for B2B use, right? This is not for consumer use. We will give the travel advisors the ability to edit any part of that AI recommended itinerary. You can change the title, you can change the description. For each activity, you can edit, delete, add, whatever you want to do with this itinerary, right? It's the control is in the hands of the travel advisor or the travel agent who's actually servicing that guest request. All in 3 minutes, you have a fairly good-looking itinerary built. You can either send a QR code to your guest so they can take a look at this itinerary on their phone, or you can download a PDF and send that PDF to your client, right? So you can, once they receive it, they will open in a screen like this. So in addition to the map, in addition to, you have a daily activity list, you also have pop-up windows for all the POIs. Every single POI will have an image, will have, its kind of description name. If there's an address is relevant, there will be an address. If there's a phone number that's relevant, there will be a phone number. And if there's an official website, the official URL will be presented here. So this is a quick example of what you can do to build business applications, either internally or for your clients. This is using agentic workflow technology, which is very readily available at a very, very reasonable cost. So that's a quick demo. And in summary, I would say over the next month, or even a couple of years, pay attention to generative engine optimization, because that's where it's going to determine how you're going to influence clients with your content. You're still going to have to do social, because that is still the killer app. But how do you get your web content to surface when people are interacting with AI engines? Look at MCP, look at the technology, do some small projects, experiments to see how you can play in that ecosystem. It's going to evolve very fast, and eventually, if that architecture is becomes mature enough and is widely adopted, you will see all user experiences will be driven by the kind of the collaboration between these servers and clients, to deliver that final experience. And finally, today, you can already start building some interesting things, more than just having a chatbot. Chatbots are used everywhere. But if you want to build some internal applications that will increase your efficiency, you can use agentic workflow to do that. If you want to build some kind of partner applications to increase business efficiency and collaboration, that framework, that technology is also available right there at a very, very low cost and very easily accessible. Sienna, that's all I have.
Oh, thanks, George. So we are actually at the end of the hour already today, but if you guys don't mind waiting around a little bit more, I still would really like to have a bit of a panel discussion and have some questions. I know you've all prepared too. So let's just ask a few of those, maybe go for another 20 minutes or so, because I think we do have so much knowledge here on the panel and would like to discuss even further. So one of the first questions I wanted to ask everybody, maybe we could start with Li Hanming to come back to you, because we haven't heard from you
Okay.
a bit, is what have you seen in China in terms of AI tools or a project or a campaign, an example of a use of AI that's impressed you the most? And it can, I mean, ideally in the travel sector, but doesn't have to be in travel.
So generally, the promotion of AI usage are more like a spontaneous process. So by the word spontaneous, it means that you gradually got attracted by the functionality that this AI agent presents. For example, like when they have DeepSeek available and you have this kind of content summarized, then actually this kind of industry participants are like say that, okay, that could be something interesting. And they will ask technology companies regarding what can we use in the AI, in the travel industry. So it's more like a spontaneous process by both the travel industry participants as well as those technological companies. Yeah. And the most, I want to say that the Sputnik time, the Sputnik moment is actually the reveal of DeepSeek, you do see that before that, actually, China don't have a quite powerful tools that is as powerful as their Western competence. However, the DeepSeek is one of the most important tools or the milestone that has been revealed on China's public media and inspired industry participants on the utilization of AI in travel industry, because they solve the most critical question, the data security. So before that's more like a discussion on it, but after DeepSeek revealed, so they realized that it's something that's utilizable. Yeah. So it's just like the hydraulic for the AI industry that we can put it in actual use. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, the introduction of the DeepSeek chatbot in January, I think, has been a real game changer for the development of AI globally, certainly in China.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you, Ling Hui, an example that you've seen that has stood out to you of the use of AI in China so far.
I think for me, one of the one that stood out is the AI tourist guide. So at the National Museum of China, they actually introduced the AI tourist guide called Ai Wen, where she's able to introduce tens of thousands of artifacts to visitors across all age group, demographics, or interests. And I think this is particularly interesting for me because it greatly reduces the operating cost for the museum, in having to hire many tourist guides and having to train them. But yet it increased the level of engagement for visitors. And for someone like me with two young kids, if I want to go to the museum, we may have very different interests, right? I may want to look at really historical artifacts, whereas they may want to interact with more AI type of elements and interactive wall. So I think having some AI tourist guide that can cater to different folks of different age group, it's really quite amazing. The other one that I think I recently saw was at the Temple of Heaven. They have this AI photo booth, which I thought was quite amazing because now Chinese visitors really love the whole notion of doing a professional photo shoot while they are on their travel. And we see that happening in many different towns and cities in China. But for those who just want a quick fix, right? You may not have time to go through the whole hassle of dressing up, going to take photo. Actually, the AI photo booth does an amazing and brilliant job for you, and you can actually select different settings and have it printed out. So that is a very cost-friendly and efficient way of using AI that really increases the experience and something for you to take away from your holiday. So I thought these two are some of the latest tools that have impressed me.
Nice. So I think that's quite interesting as you have an AI tool. It's so technology focused, but you end up with a physical souvenir that you can take away from your trip. So it's like in the real world too. George, what about you? An example? George, are you there?
Yep. As I mentioned, I haven't seen a killer app yet. I am. Can you give me 1 second? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was just saying that I haven't seen a killer app yet, but I'm seeing a lot of interesting applications. A couple cases. One is digital avatars and their applications. The technologies are lip syncing and voice cloning, and you can do amazing work using that technology. For efficiency purposes, for fun, and in your marketing campaigns. There's a lot of interesting things that can be done there. The second is the Mafengwo app implementation for Guizhou, not for its chatbot functionality, but for its use for multilingual services.
I think if you use their app, you can switch languages. We build websites for a lot of clients. We build Chinese websites. You think about the days when you have to build multilingual websites and how much investment that is. But nowadays, if you use AI smartly, you actually get away from having to do localization. You build a good application, and AI will deal with, the language layer all by itself. So that's will be a very interesting way to look at how you implement AI in the tourism space.
Great, thank you. So the next question is about going back to those results. I realize that 10 months ago is already outdated in terms of AI. Probably 3 months ago might even be outdated, but the Dragon Trail survey results, where we found that travelers were very skeptical. Only 5% said that AI had already helped them last August, again, before all these new tools came out. So do you think, the question is, do you think the answers would be extremely different now? And then what kinds of things do we need to do to address consumer skepticism around using AI tools? I guess I would first ask Hanming.
Okay, so definitely it will be natural for people to have something concern over the accuracy, or let's say the accuracy most, because you do see quite a lot of news about the hallucination about these Gen AIs. But nowadays, people are gradually more adapting themselves to how AI think about, and realize, once if you realize that AI is just a summary that helps you present a better summary of your truth, then it will be a more acceptable one. The reason why people have concern over AI is because the over expectations. So they used to expect AI to be a omnipotential, yeah, and something that knows everything, but that's definitely not practicable. But once when they realize that it's a more powerful search engine and a helper, yeah, so they would like to cooperate with it rather than assign all the work to it. That will definitely transform how people look at the artificial intelligence and eventually increase the usage, because they better understand what's the thing that could be done by AI and what's the thing that could not be done by AI. Yeah. So for example, nowadays you can see that for DeepSeek and Gemini and ChatGPT and so on, they have a research tool. In the research tool, you do have the thing summarized, and you do have the progress, you do have the reasoning available. So it's more like summarizing information. They will tell you where are the sources. And once if you have the sources, you can double check it to avoid any hallucination or incorrect, inaccurate information presented by the AI. That will be the key change that to reduce the concern or skepticism over artificial intelligence. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you. George, how would you respond to that? How to get consumers and maybe the tourism industry as well kind of on board with these new developments?
Thank you.
Hi, George. Sorry, we can't hear you.
Oh.
We still can't hear you. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Linghui if you would like to answer the question instead, please. And then we can wait for George to get back on.
Sure. I think I echo what Jason shared. Essentially, I think everyone today is using AI at a certain point when they're planning for a trip, either pre-trip, during trip, or post-trip. But maybe when they look at this question, to them is the expectation is they need to use an AI tool throughout the entire journey of their trip. And like what George shared, actually there isn't a super app today that takes care of the entire consumer journey. So perhaps it's a little bit about managing expectation. But I think in terms of reducing the skepticism, I think from the onset today, maybe a lot of brands or a lot of companies are jumping on the bandwagon to launch an AI tool. But it is essential to make sure that the fundamentals are right, that we train the large language model well, data is being taken from verified and reliable sources, so that there's no hallucination. And perhaps we can also do soft launches or closed door pilots so that we get people to test the AI before it is officially rolled out to the market, so that we can help to identify some of the early issues or data discrepancy. And I think once the tool has successfully helped a group of people, then naturally word of mouth would go around, and the level of skepticism for that specific AI tool should reduce over time. And the other point I wanted to add is perhaps also, for example, like in our partnership with Xiao Ai, she is an AI companion that is with you every step of the way. So it's not something that is so in your face. So perhaps that over time will also reduce the skepticism. And as she learns your daily preferences, your daily needs, the kind of recommendation and the kind of response to you is also more personalized. So hopefully over time, people will also not feel like, what the AI is giving back to me is just a summary of whatever is on the app, but it's truly personalized to what I'm looking for.
Okay, yeah, got it. So the more we use it, the better it'll be, basically, is the answer. Okay, so I know we've gone a bit over time. I have one more question to ask everybody, and then I think we'll end it for today because this is such a big topic. And obviously, you can get in touch with Dragon Trail after the webinar if you have follow-up questions for people that you want us to share with them. We can help facilitate that and help to answer your questions as well. So my last question is, what travel or travel industry pain point would you most like to be solved by AI, either from the industry perspective or as a consumer? And we'll ask Han Ming first.
Okay. Sorry, I cannot get you well. Would you please I beg you for pardon, please?
Sorry?
I can't hear you well, so I beg your pardon,
okay.
please.
Okay,
Yeah.
so shall I ask the question again? Which is
definitely. Would you
why,
please?
which travel, either as a consumer or in the travel industry, what kind of pain point would you most like to be solved by AI?
The most critical issue that could be solved by artificial intelligence, in my perspective, is the communication. So, for example, for a Chinese outbound tourism, especially the coming, for example, like senior travelers, it would be a challenge for them to discuss in multiple languages. For example, our generation can speak English in practicable manner, but that's not what Chinese people looking like for most of Chinese people, especially when they're coming to new countries that actually doesn't speak English. So nowadays, you could realize that every communication, from the pre-communication when booking hotels to the live communication when talking with locals, will be a quite challenging thing for all these Chinese travelers around the world. So that will be the most critical and the most important issue to be solved. I just visited a company in Shenzhen today that they're producing augmented reality glasses so that when we are discussing, they have the content you discuss in English subtitled on the glass as Mandarin Chinese for me. And that will be a simultaneous interpretation earphones too, so that everything they talk to you are automatically translated and everything you talk about is also interpreted too. So that will be the most exciting utilization of artificial intelligence in the outbound traveling world. Actually, the other way, inbound applies too, so that you don't actually suffer from the communication issues and could better enjoy traveling on yourself without a guide or without participating in a tour group. That will be unleashing the purchase power of this Chinese, I would say the richest or the middle class traveler that is able, they have cash, they have money to travel abroad, but used to be concerned over the language topic. That would be quite a huge purchasing power because not all of these Chinese people or rich middle class are working in foreign companies that utilize English as a major communication language. So it will be unleashing more people. Yeah, that would be the most significant one, the interpretation.
Yeah, I think that could be a real game changer for international tourism. And
Exactly.
maybe even change the competitiveness of some destinations where now English-speaking countries enjoy some advantage that maybe things could be evened out
For
a little
example, you
bit
do see quite
with
a lot.
AI.
You do see quite a lot of the countries that speak in Spanish or Russian. Yeah, for example, like this country in the Central Asia, the countries in the Latin America, and so on. There are actually so many places that don't speak English, and definitely they don't speak Chinese either. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
So yeah.
Ling Hui, what about for you, the main pain point you'd like AI to fix?
One of the pain point which we've been trying to address, I think it's the fact of making sure how to make sure the AI tool keeps up with what is really happening in a destination. So in Singapore, you know, we have a lot of concerts, we have a lot of events, and some of them happen like the next month, the following month, and some of the information are not as porous as we think it is. It may only be available on websites that may not be accessible here, and things like that. So how do we make sure that we bridge that info gap for events? The other one is on food and F&B and restaurants, because certain restaurants open and close, and then they change their operating hours and the menu changes as well. And whether you can make a booking, you know, when you are in destination. So F&B and events are the two areas of in travel where we are trying to see how we can better integrate the info gap with an AI tool. And the other thing, I think what Ma Feng is trying to do is they also introduce real local guides into their AI app. So even after you have a customized itinerary with Xiaoma, actually when you are in destination and you are looking for some of these last minute events to attend, or you want to live like a local, you want an authentic recommendation of, you know, where the everyday Singaporeans go to eat, you can actually talk to this group of local guides who are actually Chinese nationals who have been staying in Singapore for a long time. So they become your eyes on the ground, and they'll be able to give you perspective of how to live like a local, but through the lens of a Chinese. So I think that is amazing, and it's brilliant how it really integrates technology with a real human being to give you that authentic, in-depth cultural experience that you otherwise cannot get.
Great, thank you. George, are you there? I think we may have some connectivity issues and have lost George. So on that note, I wanted to thank all of our panelists so much for joining and spending extra time today too. I know there are lots more questions that we could discuss too. So please do, if you have additional questions, just send me an email later today, because I'm going to email everybody with all the presentation slides, with Hanming's sharing his report, the recording from today. So just reply back to that email if you have additional questions or want me to put you in touch with any of the speakers today. And we'll be discussing AI a little bit in our webinar next month too, which is coming up on Wednesday, the 30th of July. That will be the release of our new report from Dragon Trail Research, which is a survey of Chinese travel agents selling outbound travel. And among many other questions, we will be asking them about their use of AI. So there'll be more on that topic next month. You can register for that already on the Dragon Trail website, and I'll also send out the information about that next webinar. So thank you so much to everyone, and hope to see you next month as well. Bye.